I am going to show you how to make an eye, and so that you can kind of follow along with this today while I am away. A few examples that we have for you to kind of up close with your hands, feel, learn, touch, kind of understand. These are going to be on a tray available for you to study. Maybe even if you prefer to have one beside yourself while you do the sculpting, by all means use this as a guide. But the first thing you're going to do is you're going to take a half a pound of clay. So you'll cut that from the recycled clay. And then what you're going to do is you are going to take that half a pound of clay and you're going to divide it in half, equal parts. So now we've got our 2 parts, and I'm going to then, from that half, break off a chunk about this big and set it aside. And then now I have this. I'm going to roll it into my hand into a ball. It should be about the size of a very small cutie orange. And what we're going to do is we're going to take the palm of our hand and we're going to begin to pancake it or flatten it onto our table. And then I'm going to tap it on each side to make 4 sides to create basically a square that then we will be creating our eye, sculpting our eye from there. So it should look about like this. It can be imperfect because we're gonna be sculpting and shaping it with our fingers. Now the first thing you're gonna do is you could choose to take either your pinky or your thumb or any of your fingers, and you're gonna gently yet firmly press into the center of the little square clay here. And that's basically with the eye that we're trying to create. We're creating an eye socket, all right? Have a little easier time doing it on the table. So now I have like this eye socket. So the next thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take some of that clay that I broke away, and I'm gonna just take from it probably 1/4 of it, or even less, and I'm gonna roll it into the size of a red grape. So I've got my eyeball here. Then I can do a little bit of checking the size to see, yep, it fits in there. Now it's quite bulging, but I am going to show you how to make eyelids and a brow bone, so that then the eye will definitely look like it's embedded into the eye socket. So the first thing that you're going to do once you get your eye socket and your eyeball, you're going to need to score it. So again, same approach that we've done with everything that we're hand building. So you're going to score it up, add just a little bit of water into that socket, like kind of mix it around, create that slip. So you've got that good slip that's going to really help hold the eyeball in. Then the back side of the eyeball that's going to be set into your socket, you're going to go ahead, score that up. See how I'm really roughing up the clay and creating a lot of texture, so that then that eyeball will really do a good job nestling into the eye socket. I'm doing a little bit of like a wiggle. So now I've got that eyeball in that eye socket, and boy does it bulge. So now I'm gonna show you how to go about making eyelids. So I'm gonna take the remaining clay that I have of this half, and I'm gonna break it in half. And I'm gonna roll it into a ball again. And then from there, I'm going to take my needle tool and I'm going to divide that, oops, I'll do it so you can see it. I'm gonna divide it in half, cut it in half. So now what I'm doing is I'm making a top lid and a bottom lid. So I'm gonna roll them into 2 balls. I'm gonna set this so that you can see what I'm working with. My 2 balls here. All right, and then I've got that eye in the socket. So now I'm going to do a little flattening using my thumb to flatten it out. And then I'm gonna check to see, and you could choose to just use one and then cut it in half, but I'm gonna do a top and a bottom. So that definitely covers, and then I'm gonna do my bottom lid. So pressing that into the table. And that's gonna give me some options here. I'm gonna scooch back here so you can see. All right, so I've got that top lid that I'm going to cut across, and I will show you this before I go to attach it. And I'm going to set that on top of the lid, or the eyelid on top of the eyeball. So I just set that on top like this. You can see I can actually peel it off if I needed to. to do some adjusting. All right. Trying to see what happened when I dropped it. Okay. All right, getting that squared away, putting that top lid on. Okay, I'm back. I'm back. And then I could even use the bottom of that to be the bottom lid if I wanted to, like so. So it looks kind of like somebody who's got some serious bags under their eyes, but we're gonna smooth and work that out. So I could use just taking one, rolling it, flattening it, and cutting it in half, or I had thought that I was gonna use two. Again, I wanna just encourage you to follow your gut, trust your instinct. This is all experimenting. The only thing that can go wrong is that if you don't properly score it, slip it, attach it, and cover your tracks, additions to your sculpture may dry out as the clay pulls away and fall off. So that's kind of ultimately what we're avoiding, along with also creating air pockets so that our projects, we don't want them to blow up. So now I'm happy with these lids. So I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna score where I am attaching the pieces together. So I'm just scuffing up that clay, doing the back side here of the lid. I'm gonna add a little bit of water. I do this a lot where I just dip my needle into the water, and that just kind of creates enough moisture to create that slip action so that you're gonna get that good connection and hold. All right, so now I'm gonna just firmly yet gently attaching by gently pressing that lid onto that eyeball. And then I'll repeat the same thing on the bottom here. So scoring up where I'm attaching it, even onto the eyeball, then scoring the back side. I dipped my needle tool into the water, making that slip. Now I'm going to attach that part. And it's looking pretty rough and rugged at the moment. So now I'm gonna do a little blending it in. I'll do it so you can see me. Kind of covering the tracks. See how I'm making that seam disappear? We really want that clay to act like one unified clay body. Now you'll notice that it's a little rough. So I'm gonna take the needle tool and I'm gonna do a little bit of refining, the best that I can. All right, kind of hard to do it backwards. Again, day one clay, so you're gonna have a little harder time refining it, but know that as we work on your actual sculpture, it'll become more leather hard and really in a great physical space to do the carving and details. So I'm just using my needle tool to just kind of refine, do a little bit of sculpting while the clay is pretty sticky and wet. All right, so there is the basic. I would still say it's a pretty bulging eyeball. You will take your time because you will have the time. I am rushing this demo. I'm going to also sketch in the iris. So that is the colored part of the eyeball. So I'm just kind of sketching that in by scratching sgraffito into the eye. All right, so I got that going. And now I'm going to actually pierce a hole into the center of the eye to make the iris. So I'm just doing a very traditional sculptural technique. You will get choices with how you want to go about making your eyes. You may leave it just completely no texture, and then you would use watercolor to add detail. I do find adding that dark hole in the center really creates the depth that a pupil really appears to be in the eye. So I am gonna go with kind of that hole. So you can kind of look, check out, there's a few varieties here. For examples, I'm kind of doing a little bit of a crease under the eye. And then with the remainder of my clay, I'm gonna go ahead and create a bit of a nose and brow bone. And so I'm just rolling a coil that's gonna wrap along the top and go along the side of my eyeball here. That's also gonna kind of help make the eye be a little less bulging. And then again, I would just score the edges here that I'm gonna be, of the base here, just really scratching that up. And then I would also, I'm gonna kind of thin that nose, the bridge The nose just a little bigger than I wanted it to be. Then I'm gonna score the backside here, put a little water, get that slip action going, attach it, cover my tracks, and voila. I have just created in a matter of 10 minutes an eye. But you certainly can take more time than what I am doing here. And again, I would cover my tracks. I want you to also consider asking for help with your neighbors. I know for my class, Sarah Cushman and Carly Peters are also available. They are AP students that would be more than happy to help you with the sculpting. And I would be very pleased if you could just get the eye done today, take pictures of it, and then we will discuss it tomorrow when I'm back in class. And we continue to explore working with the mouth, the ear, the nose, so that we're kind of ready on Friday to do the beginning of our final sculpture. Our time is starting to run out here with the school year. And then this brow bone, I could do a little more tweaking here, but you know, trying to get that to fuse and look a little less like an addition. I'd say I need more time. So I'm just continuing to kind of blend, cover my tracks. Again, being realistic, knowing that my clay is very wet, so there's only kind of so much you can ask the clay to do today, knowing that tomorrow you could refine it more. So I actually think maybe it would be a good idea to wrap these in plastic, hang on to them, because then maybe you could continue to do some refining so that you can even understand really kind of what that day 2 starting to become leather hard clay, which I think you've had some opportunities, but if you're interested, you certainly can. If you are not interested, then definitely throw your sculpture sculpted eye in the slip bucket for us to recycle. And then one more thing, I could then start to kind of draw hair on the eyebrow, you know, start to have real fun with it. This will be a really fun project, and I'm excited to really be here and work with you on it. All right.